I'm Margaret Ann Windsor. That's my real name. I have to use the name Peggy Ann Dempsey. I married a Childers. I was kidnapped in 41 from Buckingham Palace and brought to Moulton, Alabama. My ID stolen, and I was given the name of Peggy Dempsey, who was a twin. Her twin Carl had been murdered by their mother, who they were born out of wedlock, and back then that was considered the blame placed on the child almost. But anyway, she killed the boy, Carl. He was about a month old, and I think that was in about December, January 38. They were a year older than me, but they put me there, and 2 weeks or 1 week prior to me being placed there, they were Peggy was fed to the pigs. And yes, this is true. As sad as it is, that what happened to me, and then how on earth do people think if this woman, that family covered it up, and they did, and they continued trying to kill me later because I wrote a medical malpractice book and tried to get it published. And they were afraid that if it was published, people would find out about me, my real identity, and about Peggy being fed to the pigs and Carl murdered in the cover up. Lionel would have faced the gas chamber. Now I want to get to this. My father's Edward VIII. He was illegally taken down. It was character assassination. None of it was true. He was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, sister to artist Georgia O'Keefe from Madison, Wisconsin. She was queen in 1936. They remained married. She should have remained queen. And history still tells you today that my father abdicated to marry Wallace Simpson. Well, he was married to my mom. He had nothing to do with Wallace Simpson. It was a total lie. She married a double, an imposter, and they became the illegal Duke and Duchess of Windsor. And that's the same year in 37 that illegal George VI became the illegal monarch, thus Elizabeth, the New World Order, the Illuminati that kidnapped me, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys, part of my own family, Roosevelt's, President Roosevelt and his family, they all got into it. And it has offshoots from there. The reason the Patty Hearst kidnapping happened, the Hearsts were part of it. Little did I know that in Atlanta, Georgia, when I was trying to get the book published, and Larry Flint was shot by a program shooter. That's what I was writing about. And the guy that shot Mr. Flint was programmed and paralyzed Mr. Flint. Lawrenceville wasn't very far from Marietta, where I was doing the book. And I was running back and forth to the Atlanta Journal. My husband was too. At that time, I don't know which side he was on, good cop, bad cop, I guess, type thing. But anyway, we'll go into all the media outlets, mailing stuff to 60 Minutes. I didn't know about being kidnapped. I didn't know about who my father and mother are and the mess that they created. Winston Churchill burned the files. Later, he goes on in illegal treaties. This man did, Winston Churchill, with, I believe it was Mussolini, and I've forgotten the name of the agreement. But anyway, the whole thing, there's so many treaties that are illegal. My father or the day I was born Victoria II, heir to the British Crown. My father had included an addendum to the forced abdication, and it was legal, that should he have an heir, the heir would inherit, and it was legal. So I was born in 39, kidnapped in 41, and brought over here. Now to update you today, I ran in a campaign, and I usually spread all this out, but it's on YouTube and Facebook. As backup and information, Larry Flint did an article April of 84 endorsing me for the presidency. I had been out there in 83 in a political campaign to replace Dr. Congressman Larry McDonald from Piedmont Hospital in Atlanta. He was one of the doctors I wrote about. He was part of having trying to have me killed, and it was a miracle I lived. April Fool Day of '80. So he was one of the doctors I'd written about in the medical malpractice book, and I wanted to get to this. I was never diagnosed, and I worked for doctors. Worked for, I believe, three different groups or four. Worked for a satellite office at Urban Medical. They had dermatologists, two dermatologists, cardiovascular, and an internist. And then I worked for ophthalmologist in Huntsville. I worked for the Huntsville just receptionist when it was small, the clinic. I worked for, I'm trying to think now, and I'm going to lose too much time on this, and I shouldn't. Who else? Oh, I worked for Urban Medical Hospital, and that was bookkeeping when it first opened. Bookkeeping and payables, where I learned about the inventory. This is what keeps the economy going, is the medical supplies that are bought, and the hospitals, the drugs, and the patients that come in. But the inventory is terrific. Just look at your hospital. If you told the truth about what I've been telling, if they did, the economy it's not funny. They've always been able to cure cancer, create an illness, or cure it, or make it disappear of natural cause. And that's the reason Warren and Rosina Matthews, the pathologist forensic, were gunned down at their home on Terrell Mill in Marietta, Georgia. They worked at Piedmont, where Larry McDonald was doctor. I'm giving you background so you see the mess that just a part of my life, and you don't see what's been done. And a lot of people tell me, quite frankly, dear, I don't give a. It's what they tell you and walk off. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Larry McDonald's plane went down, and he was on the KAL. Nixon was taken off prior to the plane going from Juneau to Seoul, South Korea, so they knew it was going down. And they say that Larry McDonald was on it. I don't know. Did they take the whole plane down? I don't know. I'm going to turn it around here. I was flown out to Mr. Flint's. I'd never met him. But I was flown out there. I stayed in his home twice in October, and he was very nice to me. They were. And I'm so sorry what happened to his wife, Althea. I really am. But anyway, he did the article and said I knew who was responsible for his shooting, and this was in the one I usually show, April of '84, the endorsement. I've never seen him since. He furnished me a car for a year. I turned it back in, and I was on the road, on the side of the road again, totally blocked. My children, I have no idea where they are. They never knew the truth about any of it. And I've put it up on Facebook and YouTube, hoping they are alive and well and could reach me if they saw where I am. What I wanted to put up here, though, really the reason I'm putting this up, I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an immune disorder. And when I'm around toxic fumes, force-fed, if you put you in a little room, and you try to turn on your heat, or you have what looks like a nice setup to a degree. I've never stayed in a really nice motel. This one looks like it's clean and everything, and I've stayed here since July. Problem is they're the part of the same group that's been doing this, and they're the only ones I can afford in Roanoke. And I try to leave and I'm run back. But anyway, in every one of them, everywhere I go, I had a HUD, and the same thing happened. You get to the owner, or you can have all kinds of infractions against a person, and they will compromise themselves because they don't think they're ever going to have to pay for it. So they go along with law enforcement that's telling them to do it, either to help me or harm me. And I quote State Trooper Virginia, Carl Barton, I think he meant for me to quote him. He said, "This is how we run you, make you move with chemicals." Well, it kills me. My immune system attacks itself. It's a living hell in itself if none of the other was going on. So over time, it can kill you. The inflammation, your heart, all your body will begin to shut down, or can. And I'm kept penniless. And when things get so rough, I can't take it anymore. I run to another place, motel, or I try in between that. I can't get anything. I'm just shut down. And nobody wants to hear it. Everybody around here, they're building homes, they're giving away food all over the place, and I sit in awe at my being kidnapped and the money and the technology that came into this country and what was done to my children when I had them here in this country. I mean, after all, I'm a hostage. I was kidnapped. My children had to be born here. Now I'm really a person without a home. Elizabeth's sitting there illegal. You think she's going to let me come back? Heck no. She would face criminal charges and should. She's a war criminal. I want to get back to the my immune system. It's been ongoing, and people have really just abused the hell out of me. Nobody will touch it. I can't get an attorney. It's too high profile. I think they're afraid of being killed. Anyway, I have had water thrown, busted. This is 4 times really, busted kneecaps to where I can hardly walk. And I'm going to leave the other out because it's ongoing. I've been assaulted, and assaulted with chemicals and fumes that really are toxic to me. And the thing that, if you want to Google autoimmune disorder, this is just common sense. If you smell chemicals, the first thing is you get the hell out. Well, I take it and take it till I finally have to leave. I can't take it anymore. So I've stayed here, and the same thing's gone on here. It is odd how the personnel goes right along with it. What I wanted to say now is, I believe I put the dates down here. I just looked. It was my rent was due on the 22nd of January, and it was due on the 23rd, excuse me. On the 22nd, I woke up, and it had always been bad. The fumes and me being sick. I'm trying to make sure I have time. And when I say sick, I mean it. And I woke up that night, and I was so sick, I actually thought it was killing me, the fumes and everything. And I had suddenly developed vertigo, and there's a thing about the vertigo that goes back to this summer that's horrible, who did it and how. And I ended up in the hospital the second time they did it to me. And anyway, vertigo, if anybody's ever had it, but that's damaging your ear inside and everything, your body. And it's the fume. I've lived my life. I know. And you have to see the surroundings, what happened, and you would know too what happened when I was force-fed chemicals and got the vertigo that so bad back in, I guess it's August of this year. And then again in September when I had to go to the hospital. So now then, on the 23rd of January, it started on the 22nd, I went ahead and paid the rent here. I have to beg to pay rent for a place that's doing this to me, and this has been it over and over and over. I've had to go back to places I've left because of this, the fumes, deliberately done, and begged to go back, to have a roof over my head. So it was so bad that I ended up I got an appointment to see the doctor, on the 25th? Yeah. And I can't hear out of this ear. It just totally went that first night there, January the 22nd, on a Monday night. And it started over here, and I started getting vertigo. And it's when I smell the fumes. And they moved me across the hall, was the only thing they did. And so they knew, and they all know that work here, what's going on. They're very aware and have been. And same thing happened in here. I'm just going to cut it short here. I went back to my doctor yesterday. She'd give me a medicine, 6 days ago when I went. And my ears are better. It's a little bit hard to get better when you have to leave the situation. And that's been this whole thing. The chemicals deliberately put on me, it made me inhale. You have to remove them. That's the whole problem, and nobody gets it. It's really odd that to around, well, if you run to another one, according to you, it's going to be the same. They don't try to stop it. They place the blame on me, the innocent victim. So yesterday, my ears had seemed to get better. And let me tell you this. Night before last, I'm not going to mention who said this to me. They said here that the chemical trucks sitting outside, that the two guys were supposed to be in the adjoining rooms up from me. And he quoted me, you don't know what they put in the rooms or how evidently they can drill down underneath the air conditioning and without you knowing, or how would I know? Anyway, he was implying that they were a part of what was going on now. So anyway, I got so sick night before last, I honestly thought I could smell the chemicals. It was different from carbon monoxide and the other stuff that's been put in. I know, I've lived my life, I know. And I honestly thought I was going to die. I kept opening the sliding glass doors, which is hard for me to do, and freeze. I'd turn it off, unplug the heat air, and it'd still pour out. So now then, I go to the doctor yesterday, and I am some better. I'm taking the medicine, and I know that this is all gone, my hearing in this ear, whether I ever get any of it back, and seems to not, it's going too. And I say I'm getting better. I think I am. Maybe it's put a stop to it spreading. I don't know. You're in an ear and everything. And the vertigo is what gets me. Now, that was so bad. And, they had the gall. The two trucks were sitting up from me. They come down in the middle of the night or early the next morning and park right in front of where I'm at in the room next to me, which are handicap rooms. Well, there's always an out. They can say, well, I didn't know they were handicap rooms. Well, you tell me why they're moving in the middle of the night right in front of me. They know it would be my space, So how you going to prove it when you can't get an attorney? So now then, yesterday, I got in the van to take me to the doctor, and it was so good to get the air. It was blowing right at me. I only have this where I live usually. When I get into a taxi or anything else vehicle, I don't have a problem smelling bad fumes or any of the other. I go out to eat. Of course, they may start it tomorrow, but I've never had that because other people have to breathe it. And I'm going to have to finish this. So anyway, I was so sick when I went to the doctor. And she saw me, and I have to go back in a few more weeks. And I may lose my total hearing here. I have, if it doesn't come back. And this is not doing so good either now. So when I got in here after the van ride and the perfect air blowing out, which usually is. It never bothers me there or anywhere else. I came in and I got up to see if the two, I know this has been going on, okay? You can pay the chemical or whatever. This is going on. There's a lot of road work done here. You have to know how big the people are that are doing this. They own the hotels, and their connection to your U.S. senators and former governors here. It doesn't matter who I am, okay? I'm the victim and getting beat up. So I looked out to see if they'd parked. Well, they're having a conference here. I didn't know they were. They have a conference room, and there was a lot of vehicles which left, I don't know what time, but probably about 10 o'clock. And they weren't here.